They will not speak your name in reverence because you were nice. They won't whisper about your memory with awe because you smiled at strangers, avoided conflict, or meant well. The world does not immortalize softness. It remembers structure. It echoes code. And in the grand archive of human history, etched into monuments, inked into scripture, repeated in legend, it is never kindness that survives. It is law, discipline, a way of being so coldly consistent, so sharply defined, that even time dares not blur it. Let me remind you of something. The world doesn't move for soft men. It bends for those who walk with a philosophy so unapologetically lived that even their enemies adopt their rituals out of respect or fear. You think Marcus Aurelius was remembered for being kind? Number. He was remembered for holding his code, even when surrounded by war, betrayal, and decay. You think Genghis Khan, Napoleon, or Musashi carved their names into eternity because they were likable? Number. They had a way, a cold, ruthless, honorable way. That's what men remember. That's what builds kingdoms and destroys weak legacies. But you've been taught to be agreeable, gentle, to shrink for the comfort of others. You've been programmed to equate decency with worth. You've traded edge for acceptance. And what has it given you? A forgettable life, a digital footprint no one will trace, a body that will rot like any other, absent of echoes, absent of war songs. Every man you admire had a code, some unwritten, some strict as scripture. Their kindness, if it existed, was a tool, not a foundation. Their compassion was calculated, not chronic. Why? Because a man who leads with kindness but lacks a code is soon devoured. People do not follow kindness. They follow certainty. And you don't become certain by smiling more. You become certain by cutting away everything that violates your principles, until what remains is hard, clean, and immortal. Let me ask you this. If you were to die tomorrow, what law have you lived that someone else could study and adopt? What rituals have you passed down? What boundaries have you bled for? What system have you walked so consistently that even your shadow reflects its architecture? You think a woman will love you for being kind. She'll admire it for a season, but her soul will ache for a man with spine, a man with rules, a man with discipline so strong that even his pleasures bow to his mission. She may laugh with the kind man, but she'll kneel for the man who commands himself. And your brothers, they won't sharpen themselves on your softness. They need your fire. They need your frame. They need to see you hold the line when it's easier to fold, because your code becomes their compass. Your silence in the face of chaos becomes their playbook. Your refusal to beg becomes their inheritance. You were not born to be kind. You were born to define, to make order from chaos, to stand in the whirlwind and say, "This is who I am, and this is the line I do not cross." Now ask yourself, what is your code? Because the truth is brutal, and history is worse. You will not be remembered for your kindness, but for your code. And if you don't have one, you'll be remembered by no one. What if everything you chase is what's weakening you? What if pleasure isn't reward, but a trap? And what if desire itself was the enemy all along? Death of desire, the Stoic's path to cold clarity. This is not a guide. This is not self-help. This is war. Kill the need. Master the mind. Look at the world around you. It's a graveyard of kind men, smiling corpses buried in shallow soil, forgotten by the same people they once tried to please. Their lives were polite. Their deaths were quiet. And not a single soul remembers their principles, because they had none. No spine, no edge, no unbreakable law they lived and died by. Just convenience disguised as morality. This is what happens when a man fails to build his code. He becomes a ghost while still breathing. The truth is, people use kindness. They exploit it, misinterpret it, twist it into weakness. The world doesn't ask if you were nice. It asks, Did you stand for something when it cost you? Were you willing to burn comfort for your convictions? Were you feared by chaos? Were you respected by your own reflection? Kindness without order becomes slavery. Compassion without conviction becomes self-betrayal. You give and give until there's nothing left but a shell pretending to be good. That's not noble. That's pathetic. And when you're dead, no one writes songs about men who were easy to get along with. They write songs about men who lived like scripture, men who made their own commandments and walked them alone, if necessary. You think the men we still speak of, Caesar, Leonidas, Borgia, Aurelius, survived history because they were liked? Number. They survived because they lived by law, their own, and in a world of shifting emotions and diluted morality, that law became legacy. So what is yours? What do you do every day without fail, even when no one is watching? What lines will you never cross, no matter who asks you to bend? What code will you teach your son, not with words, but with how you live? This world is loud with distractions, every platform selling you pleasure, every voice trying to soften you, every algorithm trying to seduce your time and weaken your edge. They want your masculinity ornamental, clean-shaven, smiling, harmless. But deep down, you know the truth. The world respects the man who commands himself, the man who has rules, the man who needs nothing because he is enough. And when you begin living by code, real code, you no longer chase approval. You no longer fold for validation. You begin attracting respect. You begin walking with aura. And in time, that code becomes your crown. That is the path of the Indecepta, the undeceived, the self-governed, the man who lives by law so clean, no temptation, woman, or war can shake it. So here's your call. If you're tired of being overlooked, if you're done letting softness bury your legacy, if you're ready to live a life so structured, so focused, so disciplined that your presence becomes doctrine, then stop begging to be remembered for kindness. Be remembered for your code. Be remembered as Indecepta. Becoming Indecepta is the code they never wanted you to learn. A psychological war map for men, forbidden teachings fused with modern strategy for influence, dominance, and self-mastery. If you want peace, prepare for war. Welcome to the Indecepta archive, where the undeceived rise. No ads, no distractions, just pure, uninterrupted power. As a crusader of the archive, you gain infinite access to every video, every truth, every strategy, without censorship, delay, or interruption. New drops daily, delivered to you before the world sees them. Raw, unfiltered, elite. Indeceptions.com